Welcome to the Bay Builders. All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are tackling a huge question, a real dilemma for anyone planning a high-end build right now. Do you go with the champ, the undisputed king of performance, or do you put your money on the new kid on the block, the slick, efficient challenger? Yeah, this is going to be a real head-to-head showdown. So, in one corner, you've got the beast, the GeForce RTX 4090. We all know it. It's been the reigning champ for raw power for a while now. And in the other corner, the brand new GeForce RTX 5080. This is the next-gen contender, and it's coming in with some seriously cool new tech and, maybe most importantly, a much smarter price tag. Look, if you're putting together a top-tier rig anytime soon, this is probably the single biggest decision you're going to make. So, how are we going to settle this? We're breaking it down round by round. First, we'll get a quick verdict. Then it's all about the gaming numbers. After that, we'll peek under the hood at the architecture. Then we'll talk power, price, and value. And finally, we'll help you figure out which one is the perfect match for you. Let's get this thing started.
All right, round one, Clash of Titans. And you know what? I'm not going to make you wait till the end for the answer. Let's just put the quick verdict right up there so we all know exactly what we're dealing with here. Okay, so here's the deal, the big takeaway. The RTX 4090, it's still the heavyweight champ. No question. If you want the absolute fastest card money can buy, period. That's it. But the RTX 5080 is like the crafty, technical boxer. It's not quite as powerful, but it's smarter, way more efficient, and it's packing all this new tech. And the best part? It's not going to knock out your wallet. Okay, let's get to the fun part. Round two, gaming performance. I mean, let's be honest, for most of us, this is the main event, right? It all comes down to the numbers, the raw frames per second. So let's see how these two actually throw down in some real games. So starting at 1440p, which, let's face it, is the sweet spot for a lot of us, the 4090 does pull ahead. You're looking at about a 7% lead on average. You can see it here in Cyberpunk, it's pushing 161 FPS versus the 5080's 150. In Warzone, it's 310 to 290. So yeah, the 4090 is faster. But come on. Both of these are just screaming fast. You're getting an insane, buttery smooth experience on either card. But here's where things get interesting. When you crank everything up to 4K, that gap starts to widen. That massive 24 gigs of VRAM and all those extra cores in the 4090, well, they finally get to stretch their legs. That little 7% lead, it suddenly jumps up to around 15%. This right here is why the 4090 is still the undisputed, no-compromise king of 4K gaming. Okay, round three. Time to pop the hood and look at the engine. Because it's not just about speed, right? It's about how you get that speed. We're talking about the architecture, the core technology that makes these things tick. And this is a true generational battle. Ada Lovelace versus the new kid, Blackwell. So the RTX 5080 is built on Blackwell, and it's all about being future-proof. You've got 16 gigs of brand new next-gen GDDR7 memory. We'll talk more about that in a sec. It has newer, better RT and tensor cores, which means it's going to be a beast for ray tracing and DLSS. And maybe the biggest thing, it's just so much more efficient. You get all this power without needing a mini power plant to run it. The RTX 4090, it's a completely different philosophy. It's the peak of the last generation, Ada Lovelace, and its whole game is just brute force. It's got that ridiculous 24 gig VRAM buffer and just a ton of cores. It's a monster that just plows through anything you throw at it, which is why it's not just a gaming king, but also a favorite for heavy-duty creative work. Now, I know what you're thinking. You look at the spec sheet, you see the 5080 has a smaller memory bus, and you think, huh? But don't let that fool you. That new GDDR7 memory is a game changer. It's so fast, it's like having a smaller but way, way faster highway. It actually delivers more effective bandwidth than the older stuff on a wider bus. It is the perfect example of working smarter, not harder, or in this case, bigger. All right, round four. And honestly, for a lot of us, this is the round that really matters. We're talking power, price, and value. This is the stuff that hits your wallet and your electricity bill. These are the numbers that decide which card actually makes sense to put in your rig. So first up, the challenger, the new RTX 5080, coming in at about $999. Okay, got that number? And now the reigning king. The RTX 4090 is still holding on to its premium price tag, usually around $1,599. Yeah. You heard that right. That's a $600 difference. That's a whole lot of other components. So what do you get for all that extra cash? Well, when you break it down by value, by frames per dollar, it's not even close. Just look at this chart. The RTX 580 just runs away with it. If you're looking for the best bang for your buck, there's just no argument here. The 580 is the champ.
And that value story isn't just about the price tag, it's about power too. Sure, the 4090 has more VRAM, but it's thirsty. It needs 450 watts. The 5080, meanwhile, gets you almost there while sipping just 360 watts. Now, what does that mean for you? It means less heat dumped into your case, less stress on your power supply, and probably a quieter, cooler PC overall. That's a big win.
Okay, here we are, the final round, the judge's decision. But you know what? In this explainer, you're the judge. There's no single best card for everyone. It all depends on what you're building. So let's break down a few types of builders and see which card is the right call for each. First up, are you the spare no expense builder? The person who just has to have the absolute best of the best for 4K gaming with all the eye candy cranked to max. Or maybe you're a creator doing heavy 3D work or AI stuff. If that's you, then yeah, the GeForce RTX 4090 is still your champion. That 24 gigs of VRAM and raw power is what you need. And the premium price is worth it. But what if you're the smart, high-end gamer? You're targeting insane refresh rates at 1440p or a really solid 120 frames at 4K. You care about having the latest tech, good efficiency, and, you'd rather not spend an extra $600. For you, the GeForce RTX 5080 is, without a doubt, the smarter play. It's 95% of the experience for a whole lot less cash. And one more. Let's call this the practical enthusiast. You want that top-tier, near-flagship performance, but you've got a budget. And you really don't want to buy a new 1200-watt power supply and deal with all that heat. Once again, the RTX 5080 is your card. It gives you that incredible, top-of-the-charts feeling without all the extra costs and headaches. Look, we've gone through the big points today, but there is so much more to dig into here. If you want to see even more benchmarks across a ton of games and really get into the nitty-gritty on AI and creative workloads, you have to check out the full deep dive article from our friends at bestgpusforgaming.com. Seriously good stuff over there. And they have this quote in their article that just nails it. It really sums up the whole fight. The 4090 leans on its massive core count and VRAM, while the 5080 leans on smarter design and newer tech. It's brute force versus precision engineering, two totally different ways to get to the top. And that really leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? The 5080 shows that you can get so close to the top of the mountain without a monster GPU that needs its own power grid. So what do you think? Are we seeing the beginning of the end for these massive, power-hungry flagships? Is smarter and more efficient the future of high-end gaming? Definitely something to chew on for your next build. All right, that's it from us. Keep it cool and keep building.